Hi, welcome to this ITQonversations video. Today we have some great people from Igel coming over and talk about their solution and their technologies. I'm Maarten Caus. I'm an end-user computing architect at ITQ, and I'll let our guests introduce themselves. Jordy, take it away.
Thank you, Maarten. Thank you for having us here. My name is Jordy Nypels. I'm the Enterprise Relationship Manager for the BeNeLux and Nordics region. Happy to be here.
Thank you, Jordy. So I'm Ben Ward. I'm Field Technologist UK and Ireland at Igel.
Okay, hi guys, great for having you. Please, for the viewers, can you tell who's Igel?
Brilliant, thank you. Oh, that's a great question. You know what? It's a question we get all the time. So a lot of people think of Igel as being these manufacturers of thin clients, these little boxes that go next to monitors to consume VDI desktops.
Yeah.
That's not us anymore. What we're all about these days is about putting simplicity on the desktop and making sure you've got the perfect endpoint for connecting into your VDI environment, wherever that is.
But simplicity, is that not just also a small box?
That's a really good question, actually. A lot of people think that. So when you think of traditional thin clients, you probably think of these tailor-made devices that are built just to consume whatever the VDI platform is, whether or not it's in a data center or whether or not it's in the cloud. Yeah. What we have with Igel is an operating system that is hardware agnostic. So if you want to so let's say you've got some PCs or some laptops, or even if you've got some thin clients from another vendor, what we can do is we can put our simple, secure operating system on top of those devices, and then you can use those devices to consume your Windows workloads wherever they are. So that's what we're all about these days. We're about that software, we're about the operating system, and more, we're about the management piece that goes behind that as well. So simplicity and security and a really, really simple management infrastructure to go behind it.
All right, great. So you're just no longer the company of the small boxes, but now you're really moving toward becoming more a software, like a software company as well, like VMware, for example.
Exactly, and thanks for comparing us to VMware, I'll take that. So you can still get Igel branded thin clients. You can still get those boxes if you want them. But if you want to choose someone else, if you want to choose PCs or laptops or thin clients from any other vendor out there, as long as they're x86 based, so traditional x86 processors, then yeah, absolutely, you can put Igel OS on top of it and manage Igel from the cloud.
Do you have some common use cases that you see out there in the field or at customers or different verticals like healthcare, things like that? What are the most common things where you introduce your solution?
That's a great question. In fact, Jordy, do you want to take over for verticals?
Sure,
it might be quite a good question for you.
Talking about BeNeLux, the verticals where we are really strong is the healthcare, but also financials and banking, etc. And what I want to add to your story, Ben, we have our own hardware, but we work with other hardware vendors as well. But we also can manage all these different devices in one network. So it doesn't matter if you have Fujitsu, Dell, HP, and Igel devices together. We can manage them as the same.
And can you do also the same? Doesn't matter where the location is to manage the devices? Is that something that's possible?
That's absolutely possible.
Yes. No, it doesn't matter. So you can put these devices anywhere, okay? And this is one of the really key things that I like. So let's say you have a user who's on a laptop, and maybe, if they're really lucky, they're sitting on a beach in Hawaii, potentially. If they're running Igel OS on there, and you want to push down a configuration update to that device, you can do that. So simply over the internet, over the air, you can send down configuration profiles. So if you want to add some additional security, if you want to potentially put some geofencing in, or maybe add an updated Horizon client onto that endpoint, you can do it. So from wherever you are, you can push down that update and it'll happen over the air, no VPN or anything to update that client. So it's very powerful.
So if people want to have their own home office at the beach, they need to use your solution.
If they're lucky enough, then absolutely, yes, we can make that happen.
Okay, awesome.
Maybe you can address the UD Pocket as well then.
Oh, that's a really good call actually. So yeah, thinking about this whole sort of repurposing thing, when I talk about being able to put Igel OS on any device, it's actually a very, very simple proposition. So it's not like somebody has to go out there and install this operating system on existing endpoints. We've got multiple ways of doing that. But potentially one of the simplest, and especially when it comes to bring your own device or BYOD type scenarios, we have something called a UD Pocket. And this is just a little USB key that you can plug into a device, PC, laptop, whatever it is, even a thin client, and then just simply boot into the UD Pocket, and that takes you straight into the Igel operating system, straight onto the desktop.
And do you see that, is that widely adopted, or is that more for a niche, or do you see some large
Very
clients?
widely adopted.
Okay.
And the reason is, and I've got my own tagline for this, it's just-in-time management. So if you think you're a user, you're sitting at home and you've got your, I don't know, Windows 10 PC potentially. And what you do with that, maybe you go on Facebook, maybe you browse the internet, maybe you've got your games on there and your applications. When you're using that for your own use, the enterprise got no interest in that. The enterprise doesn't care what you're doing on that device. It's not an enterprise device. If you then want to use it for work though, in most scenarios outside of Igel OS, you'd need to manage that endpoint. If it's a personal endpoint, that becomes quite a difficult conversation. What you can do with Igel OS and with the UD Pocket is simply when you want to do some work, boot the device up from the UD Pocket into Igel OS, then that entire device is now managed by the enterprise while you're accessing enterprise systems. When you're finished, simply remove the UD Pocket, reboot the device, and you're back into your personal operating system. So the enterprise only manages that device when it needs to.
So did you see a large increase in sales of this specific product during COVID indeed? Because I would think this would have been a solution for many companies.
Exactly. I saw this because in the starting of the COVID period, a lot of companies giving their employees a Windows laptop. And then you have these kind of things of security like ransomware attacks, etc. And these companies were running in their own network at the office, the Igel OS already. So they came back to me, hey, Jordy, do you have some UD Pockets? We want these laptops also in Igel because of the security. So yes, we see that a lot.
Okay, great. And you mentioned security as well. How does security fit in the Igel vision?
So that's a great question. So first of all, I love Windows. Okay, I built my career on Windows, Windows 10, Windows XP, Windows 98. Oh, all that's cool stuff. But when you think about Windows, it's an incredible operating system, but it's a general purpose, natively executed, monolithic operating system. It's incredibly complicated. So it's got such a big attack surface, and it's pretty much the #1 exploited operating system out there because it's so popular. So
it's also because it's the #1 operating system.
Well, exactly.
So yeah.
Exactly. So it's a massive target. So what we do, and coming back to this idea of simplicity on the desktop, our view is take that complex operating system. I mean, you could say put the complexity in the cloud or in the data center and put simplicity on the desktop. So what you have on the desktop is a locked down, secure operating system. There's very little that the user can do. Well, in fact, there's nothing the user can do to change configurations locally. Everything is done centrally through our management platform, UMS. So when it comes to exploits, when it comes to misconfigurations, when it comes to configuration drift, that operating system cannot be changed locally, which is why it's so secure.
And that's awesome, but you can still manage it from any from any place at any point in time.
Absolutely.
So that makes indeed a great and massive solution. I think to many companies and many of our customers out there. So if they want to find more information about the different products, the UD Pockets you just mentioned, things like that, how can they get in touch instead of calling us? But how can they reach out to you?
Of course, they can call you, Maarten, or some colleagues of you, but they also can contact me or Ben by email. Absolutely. Or just look at our website in the link below and try to connect to us. And we are happy, or find me on LinkedIn, find Ben on LinkedIn, and we are happy to send a UD Pocket or a test device or a trial license that they can run on their current hardware. We don't care. We are very flexible. I always say, yes, I hope you will buy Igel, but first let's start testing Igel, because when you don't test Igel, I think you are forgetting something.
Indeed, it's always about the added value. First, indeed, see where is the value specific for your use case, and then only then we will talk about sales and then everything. Okay, that's great. It's indeed all about how can we provide value to our customers.
Absolutely.
Thanks for being here. Thank you very much for the short conversation. Thank you very much for watching. Please also check out our other ITQ Conversations videos, and I'll see you in the next one.